Here. Here.
Here.
Present.
Here. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I'm just going to get to this tonight. We had the loss of a staffer last night while Tyrone Rogers, while he was filming the Quorum Court, and it's a loss certainly for this city. And he was with the government channel about 6 years, and certainly our condolences goes out to his family. But if you would join me in a moment of silence for Tyrone's family, I would appreciate that. Thank you, counsel, very much. It is certainly a loss. Next order of business, we have the first quarter financial report that Paul Becker will give.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is going to be a report on the operating results of the first quarter of the year, and again, that's January through March, and I'll go over it a little bit fund by fund. In the general fund, we have a surplus of about $500,000. That's because sales tax was strong, was up about 4.8% above budget at that point in time. But remember, there's been some fluctuation there. We've had 2 months that were up, 1 month that was down, and then in April we were down a little bit. But again, this is through March. So we have about a $500,000 surplus. Now that's good. Remember, when we get to April, we'll pick up one more payroll. So we do have to build a bit of surplus because we have 3 payrolls in the month of April. Expenses were just about 25% of the total budget, which is where they should be expected in an operating fund. So they were where I expected. Building permits were very strong, which is one of the major reasons for our surplus at that point in time. They were up about $300,000 through the first quarter because of the increased volume of primarily commercial being looked at in the planning and building group. So they were very, very strong. The street fund had a deficit of about $150,000. That's somewhat to be expected. We do have a lot of capital going on in the street fund, but it's right about where I would have targeted to be at this point in time. The parking fund was up 15% in revenue, which is very, very good. We have a $200,000 surplus in the parking fund. That's a good thing because as we move forward, we've got maintenance to do on some of the current parking lots. So we have to look at taking care of that. And of course, with the new parking garage coming online, we're going to have to take a look at maintenance and build over time for that. Also puts us in a good position as far as making the bond payments. Remember, we still have roughly $5 million outstanding in the bond issue. Excuse me, I said $6 million outstanding in that bond issue for the construction of the parking lot. Parks Development was up good. The revenue was strong there, up roughly 10%. That's a good thing. We're showing a deficit of $1.4 million in the Parks Development Fund. Remember that the regional park is going on and we're nearing the completion of phase 1. Everything's going good there. And again, that was budgeted for a deficit for the completion of phase 1 for the regional park. However, revenue is up. That's a good thing. We'll need money for more operating costs for the regional park when it comes online. And of course, we're all excited about that. Capital fund was about $20,000 deficit, which is about where I would have expected at this point in time. We have spent roughly 29% of that fund so far in the first quarter. So a lot of the capital projects that we had planned are moving ahead, and we're moving forward on that. Water and sewer, the revenues were up 0.6% for water, 0.7% for sewer. Remember, we did have a rate increase, so as far as total volume is concerned, the water consumption was down in the first quarter. The deficit for the period was about $987,000, and again, remember, we have a lot of capital projects going on in the water and sewer fund. At this point in time, we've got roughly $15 million worth of projects going on in that fund. Trash and recycling, revenues were pretty flat. We did have a surplus for the period. Remember, we're also moving ahead on that, moving ahead with the construction out on the new facility for the recycling and trash collection fund. The airport fund was down about $50,000 in revenue, had about $150,000 deficit. Remember, we do have some capital moving there. All in all, I think it was a good quarter for the city. Everything is pretty near what I would have expected. I will caution on us that, and the council, that as we go forward in the general fund, we're going to start seeing some fluctuation, I think, in sales tax. We've experienced that a bit so far. Construction looks good, as we seem to have a lot of new businesses coming in. But I think we'll have a strong year this year. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
What questions do we have for Paul tonight on this? Anything? Okay, thank you,
Thank
Paul.
you.
Next order of business I have tonight on the agenda is the consent agenda. I'm sorry, I knew you had a report, but I don't seem to have it on my agenda.
It is not on the agenda.
Okay.
I'm trying to request to speak, but it doesn't want me.
Okay, well, why don't you just go ahead and
Okay, we
speak
have the
on it.
third quarter nominating committee report. We met last night, and it's incredible. Everyone knows that Fayetteville is an engaged community, but we had a record number of applications. We probably saw the most skilled and impressive group of individuals that you can imagine come out that wants to be engaged in the community, and a very limited number of openings for the third quarter. What I want to really encourage is anyone that didn't get selected or is not on the slate this evening, I hope that they will stay interested and they will look for opportunities in the future, because traditionally the third quarter is not a quarter where we have a lot of openings. But I submit for consideration the following nominees for commissions, committees, boards. The mayor, and with the consent of the nominating committee, nominates Catherine Cook to the Historic Commission, one term ending 6/30/19, and David Stewart to the Historic Commission, one term ending 6/30/19. The nominating committee recommends the following candidates for appointment. For the Animal Services Advisory Board, we did not receive an application for the veterinarian position, so we still have an opening for a veterinarian. Megan Fowle, one business representative, term ending 6/30/19. Brittany Woolridge, one citizen at large, term ending 6/30/19. For the Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeals, Brad Beach, one unexpired alternate member term ending 3/31/21. For the Environmental Action Committee, we have one opening, and we nominate the reappointment of Connie Crisp for one term ending 6/30/19. For the Fayetteville Arts Council, and again, this was a record-breaking interest. This shows truly how engaged we are in supporting the arts here in our community. We recommend David Kersey for one working artist term ending 6/30/19. Casey Mayer, one working artist term ending 6/30/19. Samantha Sigmund, one unexpired arts and cultural citizen at large ending 6/30/17, and Cody Ford, one arts and cultural citizen at large, position ending 6/30/19. For the Walton Arts Center Council, we had two reappointment suggestions. Steve Clark, one term ending 6/30/19, and Barbara Taylor, one term ending 6/30/19. And I submit this to City Council for consideration and approval.
I'll entertain a motion and a second to accept the
Mayor.
nominations by
Just a point of procedure, the City Council's Rules of Order and Procedure require agenda additions like this to be added by a suspension of the rules,
You're
which requires a
absolutely right.
two-thirds vote.
You're
And then
right.
you would have a separate vote on the nominations
You're right.
themselves.
My mistake. All right, so we need a motion, a second to put this on the agenda, correct?
A motion to suspend the rules and add it to the agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion, a second to suspend the rules and add this to the agenda.
I'm trying. There's no button.
But we do have a motion and a second. I don't see nothing.
Yes, it is. Suggested action.
Okay, well, we're good then, right? Okay, any discussion on that or anything? Sandra, would you please call the roll?
We have a motion and a second.
Yeah, Mark and
They can't hit
the button
on the screen, Sonia, so you'll have to put it.
Okay. Who was it?
Mark and
Mover and Long is the second.
Who was the
Al.
mover? Kenny? And Mark was, and who was the?
Alan Long.
Alan Long. Okay. Now can you see a vote screen?
No.
Alan, where's the vote?
okay.
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kenneth?
Yes.
Stockmar? Yes. Latour?
No.
Mayor, you may vote, as the sixth vote for two-thirds, if
I
you
will
like.
vote yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay. The next order of business is consent agenda.
Next, you need a motion to approve the nominating committee
Sorry.
report.
Sorry. Okay.
And again, there's...
Adela?
I would like to make a motion that we accept this slate of nominees.
Second.
Have a motion second. Shall the motion pass?
Long?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kenneth?
Yes.
Stockmar?
Yes.
Latour?
No.
Motion passes.
Okay. Adela, I see that you still have the floor. Do you wish to say anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna move us along to consent agenda. Now I can go to the consent agenda. All right. Number one, approval of the May 17th, 2016 City Council meeting minutes. Number two, resolution to award bid number 16-23 and to approve a contract with JBZ Incorporated, DBA, Ellingson Contracting in the amount of $287,300 for the construction of kitchen renovations at the Fayetteville Senior Center, to approve a project contingency in the amount of $30,153 to approve change order number one to reflect value engineering items and reduce the contract amount by $53,560 and to approve a budget adjustment. Number three, a resolution to award bid number 16-31 and authorize the purchase of a 2016 Plymouth Starlight 3829 tandem axle dump trailer from Hilt Built Sales Corporation of Benton, Arkansas, in the amount of $39,590 plus applicable taxes for use by the city water and wastewater treatment facilities. Number four, a resolution to award bid number 16-33 and to authorize the purchase of two 2016 Ford F-350 flatbed trucks from Superior Automotive Group of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and the total amount of $66,558 for use by the city wastewater treatment facilities. Number 5, a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2016 Caterpillar 420 F2 backhoe from Riggs Cat of Springdale, Arkansas, in the amount of $95,620 pursuant to a National Joint Powers Alliance cooperative purchasing agreement used by the Transportation Department. Number 6, a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2016 Caterpillar 259D skid steer from Riggs Cat of Springdale, Arkansas, in the amount of $55,000 pursuant to a National Joint Powers Alliance cooperative purchasing agreement for use by the Water and Sewer Operations Division. Number 7, a resolution to approve the purchase of a 2013 Dodge Caravan from Lewis Automotive Group of Fayetteville, Arkansas, in the amount of $17,771 for use by the Airport Services Division, and to approve a budget adjustment. Number 8, a resolution to approve a Special Needs Assistance Program grant agreement with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in the amount of $188,525 for the city to administer programs to provide rental assistance to supportive services to the homeless Fayetteville residents. Number 9, a resolution to approve a professional engineering services agreement with McGoodman, Williamson, Yates Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $182,077 for a water master plan update for the design, bidding, and construction phase services for the replacement of approximately 3,000 feet of water line on Denford Trail. Number 10, a resolution to authorize application for and acceptance of a 90-10 matching grant from the Federal Aviation Administration to provide funding for the taxiway lighting rehabilitation project, Drake Field, to approve a contract with H&H Electric Incorporated in the amount of $222,755 for the project contingent upon a grant award, and to approve a budget adjustment authorizing airport fund matching expense and recognizing grant revenue contingent upon approval of the grant application and receipt of the grant funds. Number 11, a resolution to approve a lease agreement with the Board of Trustees, University of Arkansas, for the unoccupied banquet area and the airport terminal building to be used by the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute to conduct classes during the fall 2016, spring of 2017 semesters in the amount of $25 per each day the space is used. And number 12, a resolution to approve a 1-year lease agreement with Rogers Incorporated for office space in the airport terminal building in the amount of $330 per month to provide in-flight catering services. I will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as read. Justin?
I move we accept the consent agenda as read.
Alan?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda as read. Shall the motion pass?
Does the council see the screen now?
I don't see a voting button. My request to speak came up, but then now it says I have motion, but it doesn't have.
There we go.
Now it has Alan.
I'm recording it for you.
Okay.
Do you see a vote screen now?
Not yet.
No vote screen. Okay. Long,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Kenneth,
Yes.
Stotmeyer. Yes. Latour.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, the next order of business is a public hearing. I'm going to open a public hearing on a resolution certifying to the tax collector of Washington County, Arkansas, the cost of abating unsightly and unsanitary conditions and the raising and removal of dilapidated and unsafe structure upon the property owned by the U.S. Bank National Association at 550 West Skelton Street in the city of Fayetteville, Arkansas. Who has this? Good.
Hit your middle button and it'll take it to that, and then we can vote, I think.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. March 31st, the Code Compliance completed a large-scale cleanup and raise and removal of the property located at 550 West Skelton. And this resolution is simply to certify the tax collector to place the lien on the property for the amount of the project.
Okay, what questions do we have from the council on this? Anybody? Yes, John?
Tell me the process. How do we go through the process of notifying the owner, in this case, the bank association?
Our notices of violation are sent via certified mail, and they contain all the information pertinent to the violations, the means of correcting said violations, and depending on the violation, there's various time frames for the property owner to bring the property into compliance.
Did this owner respond in any way?
No, sir. They signed for the mail, but we had no correspondence with the owner.
So, can we prove they received it? Someone signed it, but
Yes, sir.
who was that someone?
We just have the fact that the mail was picked up.
So the owner may not know yet.
It is a large, U.S. national bank, so I
They should
imagine
know.
they have a wide variety of staff. So
I Google searched for that owner and I didn't really come up with anything.
John, I would also add that we communicated with the attorneys who did the foreclosure on the property.
Okay.
They attempted to contact the owner, and nothing worked.
Okay. So, as far as we know, then the owner may not have been contacted, or they didn't respond.
They just didn't respond.
Okay. Just want to be sure that everybody knows what's going on with their property, and
right,
he who fails to act suffers the consequences.
correct. And they are based out of Louisville, Texas, so it could be just that they have no interest in the property.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? John, you still have the floor. You have another question, or?
No questions.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the council or anything? All right, let's take some public comment. Who would like to address us on this? Is the owner here? No? Okay. Anybody else from the public like to address us? Okay, I'll bring it back to the council. Alan?
Motion to pass the resolution.
Marty? Second. Have a motion and a second to pass the resolution. Any final comments from the council? Shall the motion pass? Okay, it's fine. We did it a lot of years around here before we had this.
I remember the good old days, don't you, Mayor?
I still have the good.
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Marsh, Kenyon,
Yes.
Kenneth,
Yes.
Shopmar,
Yes.
Latour,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Next order of business tonight is unfinished business. Number one, under unfinished business, an ordinance to rezone that property described in rezoning petition RZN 16-5385 for approximately 35.31 acres on Dead Horse Mountain Road from RA residential agriculture to RSF 2 residential single-family 2 units per acre, subject to a bill of assurance limiting development to 51 homes.
Mayor,
Yes, Jeremy.
just a quick announcement. A little over a week ago, we received a request from the applicant or a notification from the applicant they would not be able to be present tonight. We informed the council last Tuesday at the agenda session that we would likely not maybe making a presentation or hearing this item tonight, and they've requested the item simply either be continued, left on the second reading, or tabled to the next meeting. Subsequently, I also spoke to two neighbors within the neighborhood that spoke at the last meeting. We also discussed at that time that we likely would not be considering this for a vote tonight. So I just want to make sure that you all were aware of that for those of you who did not attend the agenda session.
I think it's on the first one right now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I believe right where it is? Okay, very good. All right, moving along to new business. Number one, an ordinance to rezone that property described in rezoning petition RZN 16-5400 for approximately 1.43 acres located at the southeast corner of Persimmon and Broyles Avenue from RA Residential Agricultural and NC Neighborhood Conservation to NC Neighborhood Conservation and RA Residential Agricultural. Right.
Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas, Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby changes the zone classification of the property shown on the map, Exhibit A, and the legal description, Exhibit B, both attached to the Planning Department's agenda memo from RA Residential Agricultural and NC Neighborhood Conservation to NC Neighborhood Conservation and RA Residential Agricultural. Section 2, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby amends the official zoning map of the City of Fayetteville to reflect the zoning change provided in Section 1.
Okay. Jeremy?
Mayor and Council, this property is located at the southeast corner of Broyles Avenue and Persimmon Street. You can see a map up here on your screens. It contains approximately 1.42 acres. There are two sites, essentially, each about 7/10 of an acre. This applicant is requesting to rezone the property, essentially switching the zoning. The one there to the south is currently zoned RA Residential Agricultural, and the one to the northwest is zoned Neighborhood Conservation. They like to switch that. You can tell the plat for the development essentially shows that it's a much more feasible to develop this area. We felt like this proposed zoning change was compatible with the surrounding residential and natural properties. You can tell to the north of this is all zoned residential agricultural along the stream there. We felt it was justified and needed, and so did the Planning Commission with a vote of 9-0, and so we're recommending approval of this rezoning request.
What questions do we have from the council? Alan?
Sorry, I couldn't get back to that screen fast enough. I'd just like to say I haven't heard anything from anyone in Ward 4 about this. Just let the council know that.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Any public comment on it? Okay, bring it back to the council.
Hold on, I gotta get back to it.
Okay, Justin.
I move we suspend the rules and go to second reading.
Alan.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to go to the second reading. Shall the motion pass?
Long,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Kenneth,
Yes.
Shopmire. Yes. Lettieri.
Yes.
Motion passes. An ordinance to rezone that property described in rezoning petition RZN 16-5400 for approximately 1.43 acres located at the southeast corner of Persimmon and Broyles Avenue from RA Residential Agricultural and NC Neighborhood Conservation to NC Neighborhood Conservation and RA Residential Agricultural.
Alan.
Motion to move to suspend the rules and move to the third and final reading.
Adela.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go to the third and final reading. Shall the motion pass?
Long,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Kenneth,
Yes.
Shopmire. Lettieri.
Yes.
Motion passes. An ordinance to rezone that property described in rezoning petition RZN 16-5400 for approximately 1.43 acres located at the southeast corner of Persimmon and Broyles Avenue from RA Residential Agricultural and NC Neighborhood Conservation to NC Neighborhood Conservation and RA Residential Agricultural.
Any final comments from the council? John? No? Sorry.
Never mind.
It's all right, it's all right. Any final comments from the council? Okay. Shall the ordinance pass?
Long,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Kenneth,
Yes.
Shopmire.
Yes.
Lettieri.
Yes.
Ordinance passes.
Okay, number 2. An ordinance to approve vacation 16-5404 submitted by Angela Stevens for property located at 1649 West Farmington Street to vacate portions of an access easement. Blake.
Whereas in 2000, city planning staff requested that Angela Stevens vacate the old Farmington Road 30-foot right-of-way to eliminate a dangerous traffic condition, and because the city determined the unimproved street was not needed and would not be improved by the city, and whereas the only potential need for public access on this old street was for solid waste and recycling, so that the vacation should have been conditioned upon such limited access easement, and whereas the ordinance mistakenly left out the words which would have properly limited access only for solid waste and recycling trucks, so now the owners cannot prevent dangerous cut-through traffic, including many student-driven motor scooters, which has worsened the traffic condition, the dangerous traffic situation, which the 2000 vacation of the 30-foot right-of-way was designed to prevent. And whereas the City Council has the authority under ACA Section 14-54-104 to vacate public grounds or portions thereof which are not required for corporate purposes, and whereas the City Council has determined that the following described access easement is not required for corporate purposes, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas, Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby vacates the access easement as described in Exhibit B attached to the Planning Department's memo. Section 2, a copy of this ordinance duly certified by the City Clerk along with the map attached as Exhibit A to the Planning Department's memo shall be filed in the office of the Washington County Circuit Clerk.
Chairman.
Mayor, Council, I believe the ordinance explains most of this item, but the right-of-way that you see, the access easement that you see on your screen there is south of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and east of Beechwood Avenue. The right-of-way was vacated back in 2000 by the City Council as a public street right-of-way. However, there was an access easement maintained for the purposes of solid waste and recycling to access properties within this area. With the advent of new student housing development along Beechwood, two separate projects, there's much more traffic within this area, and much of that traffic is cutting through this access easement. The issue at hand today is that the business directly south of this property utilizes that essentially driveway for much of their loading and unloading operations for their business there, and it has become a safety issue with so much cut-through traffic. The true intent of retaining the access easement back in 2000 was simply for solid waste and recycling access. They no longer need that access. The building that they were accessing there is no longer in existence. And so we are recommending, as the applicant has requested, to vacate that access easement in perpetuity.
Is the applicant here or, yes, please, would you come, would you like to say a few words to the council?
Hi, y'all. I'm Angela Stevens, and Jeremy stated it well. It's just become a safety issue for us with the cut-through traffic. And in order to protect my employees, the general public, and my business, we'd like to get that access easement vacated if we could.
Yes.
Is that good enough?
Any questions for the applicant or Jeremy on this? Now,
I'd just like to say thank you for reaching out to us before the meeting with all the information and following through with that. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
all right, any public comment on this? I'm sorry, does council have any more questions? Is there any public comment on this? See, none, will bring it back to the council. Now,
Motion to suspend the rules and move to the second reading.
Adela? I second the motion. We have a motion and a second to go to the second reading. Shall the motion pass?
Long,
Yes?
Ray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Shopmire. Letier.
Yes.
Motion passes. An ordinance to approve VAC 16-5404 submitted by Angela Stevens for property located at 1649 West Farmington Street to vacate portions of an access easement.
Now,
Motion to move to the third and final reading.
Adela?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go to the third and final reading. Shall the motion pass?
Long,
Yes?
Ray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Shopmire.
Yes.
Letier.
Yes.
Motion passes. An ordinance to approve VAC 16-5404 submitted by Angela Stevens for property located at 1649 West Farmington Street to vacate portions of an access easement.
Okay, any final comments from the council on this? Okay, shall the ordinance pass?
Long,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Shopmire.
Yes.
Letier.
Yes.
Long.
Ordinance passes.
Okay. Number 3, a resolution to approve a long-term lease of the Spring and West parking lot with Theater Square Incorporated to construct a performance theater with educational and community event space. Chairman.
Over last year, excuse In October of last year, the City Council approved a resolution expressing the city's intent and support of Theater Squared to negotiate a lease to utilize the property at the southeast corner of West Avenue and Spring Street for a new performance facility. That facility can be located here on your map. It currently contains a 54-space parking lot, municipal parking lot that was purchased by the city in 1995 from the Fayetteville School District number 1. The mayor, staff, and city attorney's office have all worked together with Theater Squared over quite a few months of negotiations for this lease. The structure of the lease is based on the same structure as the Walton Arts Center's lease directly across the street, wherein the city and university own that property, and a facility obviously is constructed there. The city will maintain ownership, fee simple, of the property, and will simply lease the space for a long-term lease, 25 years with automatic renewals of 25 years apiece, and that's part of the terms of the lease. As you all know, Theater Squared is a nonprofit professional theater offering theater experiences for 30,000 or more patrons each year. It has grown over the last 10 years exponentially. They offer broadly accessible ticket prices, educational programs reaching at least 1,500 Fayetteville students at no cost, and free tickets for clients of various other nonprofit organizations in Fayetteville. It is a top-rated attraction, the top-rated attraction for Fayetteville on online service TripAdvisor, and has received numerous national accolades and awards. As we discussed in October, staff fully supports this endeavor to locate a new performing arts facility, and essentially a new home for Theater Squared in our downtown. We believe the economic and cultural impact of an extended, unique theater in the downtown can be a significant draw for tourism and also economic development to the city. Essentially, a flourishing cultural and arts entertainment district only helps the other businesses that support that industry as well. So restaurants, shopping, and other performance facilities and establishments in the area. Theater Squared has agreed as part of this lease agreement to fundraise and construct said major theatrical performance facility on the premises, including other customer convenience facilities such as a coffee shop or restaurant within the facility, a retail and gift shop, and even a residential facility for performing artists and related persons such as playwrights, etc. Highly professional performances meeting at least, at a minimum, the quantity and quality of those performed over the past year are required as part of the lease. And Theater Squared may also provide facilities for community activities, educational program, and gathering spaces for the public. So not only will it be a performance center, but really a community space for citizens to utilize and visit. During the initial discussion of this proposal, our finance director, Paul Becker, made it clear that Spring Street parking deck had to be open. We had to understand that there was parking available. In addition, there will likely be additional parking available on street and on the site for users and staff of the facility. But in full disclosure, this will obviously replace 54 spaces that are currently as part of our entertainment district parking area. Staff is supportive of this lease agreement. We've worked, as I mentioned, the mayor's worked long and hard to secure the terms of this. I believe Martin Miller and others from Theater Squared are here to answer any questions or present the items of the specific project if you have those. But we're excited to bring this portion of the project to you.
Okay, would Dad like to say a few words? Martin, Bob?
Evening, everyone, and thanks for taking the time to talk this through with us. I'm Martin Miller. I'm the Executive Director of Theater Squared.
And I'm Bob Ford. I'm the Artistic Director, and it is truly a great privilege to be here this evening. Thank you. And on behalf of Theater Squared's board, staff, artists, and audience, we're happy to be able to share the vision taking shape on the corner of West and Spring in downtown Fayetteville. The City Council's unanimous support for Theater Squared's use of a site in a resolution last fall was really a major shot in the arm for this project, and we are sincerely, sincerely grateful. Our first 10 years in residence at Walton Arts Center at the Nadine Baum Studios have been exciting, to say the least. We've grown from an idea into a nationally recognized organization with a $2 million annual budget. And this season, we've passed 40,000 in yearly attendance. And as you'll see in your packet, the vision for the site is indeed significant. It is a 50,000 square foot professional theater building housing intimate performance and rehearsal spaces, design workshops, staff offices, education space, artists' residences, and public spaces that are open all day to audience members and the community. And working with Marvel Architects and Charcoal Blue, with the support of the Walton Family Foundation's Design Excellence Program, it has become clear that this building will be architecturally significant. And we look forward to having final designs to share with you all this fall. We're also in the quiet phase of a major fundraising campaign and hope to have news to share with you on that front towards the end of this year.
Of course, the economic development benefits for the city of Fayetteville and the downtown arts and entertainment district are also compelling. We, have gotten research back that just in the 2-year period encompassing the construction phase, it will have an impact in the local economy of a little over $40 million, create the equivalent of 360 jobs. And after its completion, expected to double Theater Square's impact on the local economy to a little over $4.3 million each year. And of course, as Jeremy noted, just as importantly, in the new facility, we can expand our partnerships with local organizations like Seven Hills and Feed Communities and Fayetteville Public Schools to provide low cost and free tickets throughout the community, and also bring in a lot more students to see the shows. Last March, we asked a group of community members to help us create a vision statement. We shared it at a public input session at the Chancellor Hotel earlier this year, which had 100 community members that came out and gave some really great thoughts and advice on what they'd prize for the new space. So we just wanted to share that vision statement with you guys. It states, "We see Theater Squared as its own center, a destination and a place of origin. The work created here will draw audiences from near and far and be our region's export to the world theater centers, Chicago, New York, and London. We see a gathering place, a theater commons, that's welcoming and fascinating, alive with activity, a building that draws the eye and evokes curiosity, a place that invites, hints at the unusual, and suggests something significant will happen here. Here in our community, we see a permanent home for remarkable theater done well and with passion, a premier national theater in downtown Fayetteville." So thank you. We appreciate your support for this vision and welcome any questions you have.
All right, what questions do we have for the applicant or Jeremy on this? Okay?
Actually, I do have one quick question.
Sure.
And first of all, I'm in full support. I think this will be a local, regional, national building blocks of something just very, very special for our downtown and everything. So thank you very much for your efforts. I did have one question from a constituent that was curious on if you've, I don't think you're deep into plans necessarily yet, but will there be either community spaces or community use or some sort of idea of community involvement into the facility, whether it's indoor shows, outdoor shows? This person said they had been to some cities where there were some outdoor shows in some sort of form or fashion, which I thought was a cool idea on a pretty day. So anyway, I was just curious on the community involvement aspect of it.
Yeah, that's the exact kind of sentiment we heard at the public input session too, and absolutely, we want it to be, I think the popular term these days is porous. It's the idea that people circle in and out and are using it for the, maybe they're seeing a show or maybe they're just coming in to sit. We're not too fond of the sort of traditional notion of a place that just doors open an hour before the show and shuts an hour afterwards, but would rather have public spaces that are accessible all day, both indoor and within the structure of the building, outdoor spaces as well. And so, yes, I don't, certainly, currently there's not in the plan an outdoor performance venue, but there's the opportunity to have events outside and performances that spill out outside, and also, of course, a desire on our part to be inventive. Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening to the public in those input sessions, because that's absolutely huge and kind of uncommon, I think. So thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, any public comment on this? Paul? Yes.
I brought this to the attention of the council at the agenda session, but as your chief financial officer, I feel I should reinforce it here. Certainly with all projects there are in fact risks. I just wanted to point out that in section 39 of the contract, essentially, a project of this size, Theater Square, doesn't have the money to fund this right now, so they're going to have to go out and they're going to have to borrow the money. In fact, what they do is, if we improve this lease, this gives the lending institution to stand in the same place as Theater Square in case Theater Square defaults. We are not transferring title to the property to Theater Square. We will not be responsible for any mortgage payments. However, it would give them the right to stand in the same specific place as Theater Square. They would have the right, the lending institution, to find a replacement for Theater Square with the approval of the council to run the facility, and we would still reap the same benefits. So they would just stand in that position. The risk of that, of course, is during a point of time, it may be not in operation. It may stand not being utilized until a mortgagee can find an acceptable group to run the programs and meet the terms and conditions of the contract to fulfill the contractual obligations. Obviously, that's not infinite in time. That would have to be a reasonable period, but that's a risk that we would take. Again, we're not transferring title of the property, but this is a risk when we enter into the agreement to allow that lending institution into that. Certainly, the Theater Square has raised money or gotten pledges so far. The Walton Foundation certainly has been very, very generous to them with grants for the architectural phase and the initial phases. But that is a risk, I feel, as your chief financial officer, I should make absolutely sure that we all understand.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Paul?
Certainly. No.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Any?
Mayor,
Yes.
I just do have one final one comment. I also want to make sure it's clear to the public that if this lease is approved tonight, there's not going to be a fence put around the parking lot tomorrow, and the lease takes effect. Essentially, the terms of the lease indicate that the parking lot really is maintained by the public until such time as financing is in place, permits are ready, the large-scale development or whatever process for project approval has taken place. So all those things all the steps have to be approved and taken place before we actually relinquish the property for future construction. So I just want to make sure that's clear for the public as well.
Okay. Now,
I'd like to make a motion to pass the resolution.
Justin,
Second.
we have a motion and a second to pass the resolution. Any final comments from the council? Well, I would just like to say that we've been in negotiations for probably over a year when Theater Square first came in. I sit on the Arts Council of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and this is some of the very things that a lot of cities are doing all across the country too. Because in the studies that we've seen to that committee, that the arts is the third best driver of an economic engine that you can have in your city or in your region. So it's sitting at number 3. I think personally this will be Arts Theater will create kind of an arts campus down there, if you will, with the Walton Arts Center and all that we have down there. I think it's a real big win for us. I think it's a big win for the downtown area and the community, and it will be a great economic driver for this city. So with that, shall the resolution pass?
Long,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Gannett,
Yes.
Shopmire,
Yes.
Latour,
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Okay, thank you. Number 4, in order to waive the requirements to form competitive bidding and to approve a cost share agreement with Martin's Wyking Incorporated for a water main upgrade along College Avenue between East Davidson Street and East Maple Street, with the amount to be paid by the City of Fayetteville not to exceed $73,100.40. Blake.
Whereas Mark Zweig Incorporated will be renovating the Twin Arches Motel located at 521 North College Avenue, a project which was approved by the city's Planning Commission on May 9, 2016, and whereas during the course of design review by the City of Fayetteville, Mark Zweig Incorporated was made aware of an existing water volume fire flow issue with the existing water piping, and whereas increasing the size of this approximately 250-foot segment from a 2-inch main to an 8-inch main will alleviate the current water volume deficiency, allow the development to connect, and also allow for a secondary water loop to help prevent the possibility of residents losing water service in the event of a water leak in the area, and whereas the City of Fayetteville would benefit from the cost share as it would facilitate future development and promote better fire flow in the vicinity, and will save time and cost by utilizing the developer's contractor, who will be on site installing the larger line for this developer's project, and whereas Section 51.112 of the Fayetteville City Code provides that the city shall pay the excess material cost of facilities of a size that is larger than required to serve subdivisions when such excess size is specified and required by the Water and Wastewater Director for the general benefit of the water system. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas, Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby determines an exceptional situation exists in which competitive bidding is deemed not feasible or practical, and therefore waives the requirements of formal competitive bidding and approves a cost-share agreement with Mark Zweig Incorporated for a water main upgrade along College Avenue between East Davidson Street and East Maple Street, with the amount to be paid by the City of Fayetteville not to exceed $73,100.40.
Okay. Jeremy, do you have this, or who has this? Oh, Mark.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Mark Zweig Incorporated has proposed rehabilitation reconstruction of the existing Twin Arches Hotel at 521 North College Avenue. A 2-inch public water main exists on the west side of College Avenue between East Davidson Street and East Maple Street. In order to meet the minimum fire flow demands of this proposed redevelopment, Mark Zweig Incorporated must upgrade the 2-inch line to an 8-inch line from East Davidson Street south to a proposed fire hydrant to service this development. It's in the best interest of the City Utility Department to replace the remaining 2-inch water line from this project south to East Maple Street to facilitate future development, promote better fire flow in the vicinity, and also allow for a secondary water loop to help prevent the possibility of residents losing water service in the event of a water leak in the area. The city would benefit from the cost share by utilizing the developer's contractor, who will already be on site performing waterline installation. The city's cost is 48.5% of the project, which is $60,917, and adding a 20% contingency for a total of $73,100.40. There is money available for this project in water and sewer impact fees, cost-sharing projects, and staff recommends approval of this resolution.
Questions we have, Alan?
My only question is, and I appreciate and understand that we have a cost-share agreement, but would utilizing city staff in the water and sewer department to install the line be any cheaper than that for our portion?
We haven't looked at that. We do have a considerable workload currently, so I think it'd be to our advantage to have the contractor that's already going to be in the area to do the work.
Is there any way we could find out what that would cost?
Mayor, if I could make a comment, we can certainly get that cost estimate, but it's not a matter of the cost, it's a matter of the time to do the project. So our current staff is programmed for the year for all of our CIP and our water sewer line work projects, and so it's a timing issue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
In the water sewer budget, we already have the funds to do this. We're looking at the rehabilitation of the aging infrastructure downtown, and we also are looking at having loop activity, as mentioned, so in case there's a break in a line in one area, we can come into the other way and not lose water in that loop. So the timing of this could not be better as we're looking at the improvement of the infrastructure, and to have someone come in with this kind of money that's going to contribute to something that we're already looking at doing has been the timing could not be better to get the improvements in a critically, okay, look at this, we're going from a 2-inch to an 8-inch line. That's critical for the infill development in this area. So we see it as a very generous contribution from Zweig to come in and share the cost of something that we are going to have to do anyway. So it's going to prevent future maintenance issues that we've had a lot in this area, as well as meet the goals of the improvement of the aging infrastructure in this part of town. So there's all sorts of benefits in managing the enterprise fund for the return on the investment, and to have the value when we're looking at the return on the investment for the value to keep rates low. So I think there's real timeliness in this, as well as a generous benefit to managing a good budget in this situation. And it has been looked at internally extremely critically.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, is any public comment on this? See, now I'll bring it back to the council. Justin?
Move we suspend the rules and go to second reading.
Adela? We have a motion and a second to go to the second reading. Shall the motion pass?
Long,
Yes.
Gray. Yes. Kenyon,
Yes.
Kenneth,
Yes.
Shopmire,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
Motion passes. An ordinance to waive the requirements of formal competitive bidding and approve a cost-share agreement with Mark Zweig Incorporated for a water main upgrade along College Avenue between East Davidson Street and East Maple Street, with the amount to be paid by the City of Fayetteville not to exceed $73,100.40.
Okay. Justin?
Move to suspend the rules and go to the third and final reading.
Adela?
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to go to the third and final reading. Shall the motion pass?
Long,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Kenneth,
Yes.
Shopmire,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
Motion passes. An ordinance to waive the requirements of formal competitive bidding and approve a cost-share agreement with Mark Zweig Incorporated for a water main upgrade along College Avenue between East Davidson Street and East Maple Street, with the amount to be paid by the City of Fayetteville not to exceed $73,100.40.
Okay, any final comments from the council on this? Adele?
Yes, Mayor, I just want to say that I agree so much with what our Sewer and Water Chair, Mark Kenyon, has said, because I think one of the things that I am extremely interested in is seeing us repair or replace our infrastructure in the older parts of town. And so I agree with him. When we can get some help with it financially, it's a win-win. So I'm very pleased with this.
Good. Anybody else? Okay. So no other final comments, shall the ordinance pass?
Long,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Kenneth,
Yes.
Shopmire,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
Ordinance passes.
Okay. Number 5, an ordinance to waive the requirements of formal competitive bidding and authorize 25-year lease agreement with Ozarks Electric Cooperative Corporation Incorporated for the purchase of 100 shares of the Ozarks Natural Energy Solar Facility in the amount of $34,000. Blake?
Whereas Ozarks Electric recently constructed the only ground-mounted solar photovoltaic array in northwest Arkansas and has offered 4,080 shares, each representing a single 400-watt solar panel for purchase by the cooperative's customers, and whereas the electricity produced by each panel will be credited to the member's account at a rate of 4 cents per kilowatt hour in 2016 and adjusted annually based on the wholesale cost of electricity, and whereas the purchase of 100 panels by the city would have a projected payback of 8 years, with total savings over the 25-year life of the agreement estimated to be $75,000, and will help protect the city against the uncertainty of rising energy costs, and whereas the project supports continued energy market transformation, saves taxpayer money, helps protect the environment, will quadruple the amount of electricity the city currently gets from renewable sources, and will advance the city's goal of achieving an 80% reduction in community-wide greenhouse gas emissions. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas, Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Fayetteville, Arkansas hereby determines an exceptional situation exists in which competitive bidding is deemed not feasible or practical and therefore waives the requirements of formal competitive bidding and approves a 25-year license agreement between the City of Fayetteville and Ozarks Electric Cooperative Corporation, Incorporated, for the purchase of 100 shares at the Ozarks Natural Energy Solar Facility in the amount of $34,000.
Peter.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Ozarks Natural Energy is a 1 megawatt solar array that was recently constructed east of Springdale along Highway 412. And as Blake mentioned, the array has 4,080 shares that are available to Ozarks Electric members. Each share represents a discrete and unique 400-watt photovoltaic solar panel. The electricity produced by the panels will be credited to the members' account at a rate of 4 cents per kilowatt hour in 2016, and that rate will adjust upward annually based on the wholesale cost of power. Ozarks Electric will provide all the operations, maintenance, and repairs for the panels and provides insurance coverage in case of any damage from storms or otherwise. Ozarks Natural Energy is the first and largest electric cooperative commercial-scale solar facility in Arkansas, and there's no other facility like it in this area that we could purchase electricity from. The Mayor's office is recommending that we purchase 100 shares or panels as part of the solar array at a cost of $34,000, and that would have a projected payback of 8 years. The direct electricity savings over the 25-year life of the project are projected to be over $75,000. And Fayetteville's 100 panels would generate just over 54,000 kilowatt hours of electricity per year, and that electricity would go towards offsetting electricity consumption at the new regional park in South Fayetteville, set to be completed later this year. It would offset approximately 20% of the electricity consumption at the regional park and save us around $2,100 in electricity costs during the first year as part of that offset. It'll also help advance the city's goal of achieving 80% reduction in community-wide greenhouse gas emissions by offsetting over 100,000 pounds of carbon dioxide emitted per year and prevent the burning of 50,000 pounds of coal to generate that equivalent electricity. This purchase of 100 shares or panels from Ozarks Natural Energy was discussed at the April 18th Environmental Action Committee meeting and received unanimous support. Budget for this project is being provided by the city's Building Energy Efficiency Project budget. And in your packet there is a memo from the City Attorney's Office discussing the verbiage and the use of the word share to describe a panel. Typically the city would not be allowed to purchase shares or stock in a corporation, but in this instance, because a share represents a unique and discrete panel on this project site, the City Attorney's Office did not object to this purchase of shares. Also with us tonight is Chris Williams from Ozarks Natural Electric. He can answer any specific questions about the Ozarks Natural Energy project, or I'm happy to answer any questions about this particular proposal.
Okay, what questions do we have? Okay, John?
Well, I'm interested in talking to Mr. Williams. I mean,
Sure.
I'd like,
Yeah, hang on. Mr. Williams, would you care to come up?
thanks for having me. Certainly, Mr. Williams. I need an education. I hope you'll educate me and other members of our public.
Do my best.
I hear these statistics and this kind of rumors going around that solar panels don't really pay for themselves. They cost more than they generate. Can you definitively say that's false, or give me some stats, or educate me? Why are you doing this?
Well, and very good question. The cost of solar panels have significantly dropped over the past few years. The idea of solar systems not paying for themselves is becoming more and more antiquated and false, in essence. The way we're performing this program, utilizing economies of scale, we're bundling everything into one area where we can offset peaks in the evening that ideally help the cooperative and help our members by offsetting that high evening thrust of when people get home from work, kick on ACs, kick on everything. So that, in essence, adds to the value of this farm we're saving money by utilizing the sun in that way. So, as far as giving you an exact example, we can sure do what we need to do, but we've done a lot of studies on this, and this is the best way to go. Steering most folks away from the rooftop. People have an option, and this is another option. Folks that live in apartments, folks that live in heavily treed areas, they can't take advantage of the full sun, but we've got an option for them. So that's why we're making it available for everybody that purchases power from us.
Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions? Okay. Do we have any public comment on this? Okay, I'm going to bring it back to the council. Della? Justin?
Second.
We have a motion second to go to the second reading. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Long,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Tennant,
Yes.
Shopmire,
Yes.
Letier,
Yes.
Motion passes. An ordinance to waive the requirements of formal competitive bidding and authorize a 25-year license agreement with Ozarks Electric Cooperative Corporation Incorporated for the purchase of 100 shares at the Ozarks Natural Energy Solar Facility in the amount of $34,000.
Alan?
Motion to suspend the rules and go to the third and final reading.
Della?
Second that motion.
We have a motion and second to go to the third and final reading. Shall the motion pass?
Long,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Tennant,
Yes.
Shopmire, Letier,
Yes.
Motion passes. An ordinance to waive the requirements of formal competitive bidding and authorize a 25-year license agreement with Ozarks Electric Cooperative Corporation Incorporated for the purchase of 100 shares at the Ozarks Natural Energy Solar Facility in the amount of $34,000.
Any final comments from the council? John?
I'm supporting this, and the way I view it is, like, if the solar panels really don't pay for themselves, that's your problem, Mr. Williams, not ours. We still get our discount, right? Okay. So the risk is on you, not on us.
Subsidization, there's none. That's what the great thing about this is. No one is paying more. You're going to get the benefit of it.
Thank you.
Good comment, John. Don?
Mayor, I want to applaud the council. 2 weeks ago, you sent me to an economic development convention, one of the largest in the U.S. It was in Las Vegas. It's a group called ICSC, and it's the largest retailers, the largest developers, brokers of development. There are also cities there that do recruitment for economic development at that. But there was a speaker. His name was Parag Khanna. He's a leading global strategist that they had speak, and he made a statement that I think is very powerful and very much in line with the decisions that this council has been making, and that is that the winners and losers in the economy in the future will not be who is richest or poorest today, but those communities that are making investments in three areas, either in the area of transportation infrastructure, the area of communications infrastructure, specifically broadband, and thirdly, the area of energy infrastructure. And under the mayor's leadership with the staff and the council's vote in support of that, we've been working in all three of those areas, so it sure made me feel good that you continue to support these initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Any other final comments? All right. Shall the ordinance pass?
Long,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Tennant,
Yes.
Shopmire,
Yes.
Letier.
Yes.
Ordinance passes.
Okay. Number 6, resolution to approve a modification to the existing tree preservation area at the Walton Arts Center for the purpose of installing public art.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The tree preservation area is West Avenue between Walton Arts Center and Grubbs, and across the street from Walton Arts Center parking lot. The tree preservation area was dedicated to meet the minimum preservation requirements of the ongoing expansion. I'm sure you've seen the construction in that area. The request is to remove 1 honey locust and 1 smoke bush in order to construct public art, including a fountain sculpture, and to relocate 2 existing sculptures and construct permeable pavers in the tree preservation area. To offset the impact of the tree removal, the applicant is proposing to mitigate with 6 trees in the immediate area. The tree preservation area is a well-manicured green space located in an urban area that serves as a garden and a public space rather than a natural area. Most of our tree preservation areas are not maintained and kept in a natural state to regenerate and evolve without disturbance. This particular tree preservation area is impacted by the public, and the intent is continued use by the public. Staff agrees with the applicant and recommends approval for the modification to allow proposed trees to be removed and other improvements to be made along with the proposed mitigation. The modification will allow continued use of the space in the spirit and tradition of the design garden next to the Walton Arts Center in the urban area. Thank you.
Okay, what questions do we have for the council? Okay. What comments do we have in the public? Okay, I'll bring it back to the council. Adele?
I move that we pass the resolution.
Okay. We have a motion.
Hold on.
John?
I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to pass the resolution. Any final comments from the council? John, you have the floor.
Excuse me.
It's okay.
You may have it back.
All righty then. Thank you. Any final comments from the council? All right. Shall the resolution pass?
Long,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Tenet,
Yes.
Shopmire,
Yes.
Latour.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Okay, that concludes our business. What announcements do we have?
Mayor, I have several announcements tonight. First, as the mayor mentioned earlier this evening, Tyrone Rogers of the Media Services Division passed away last night, and Tyrone leaves behind 2 children, a 20-year-old son, Brandon, his 14-year-old daughter, Kalia, and they are struggling a bit with planning and having the necessary funds to handle the burial arrangements for their father. There's been a fund, the Tyrone Rogers Memorial Fund, has been set up at the Bank of Fayetteville to accept donations in an effort to help the family offset its funeral costs. The city, of course, wishes to extend our condolences to the family for their loss and a valuable member of our media services team. On some more uplifting notes, we will be celebrating the completion of our Town Branch Trail this Thursday at 2 p.m. in Great House Park. There will be a ribbon cutting. We'd love if members of the council could attend that opening. We also have on Thursday, 7 p.m., our Gully Park concert series continues, and it's Dana Louise and the Glorious Birds. If you haven't heard them, the shows start music at 7 p.m., so come out to that event. On Friday, this was actually scheduled for last Friday, but moved because of the water temperature of the swimming pool. But this Friday is our first dive-in movie sponsored by the Fayetteville Firefighters Association in Wilson Park. It's the dive-in movie. The movie is Tangled, is the name of the movie. The gates open at 7:15 and the movie begins at sunset. June also celebrates National Adopt a Shelter Cat Month. Adoption fees are waived for adult cats, so if you are seeking a cat companion, there's no cost to adopt from the shelter for adult cats. There is a reduced fee or a discounted fee to a $10 fee for the adoption of a kitten. So if you're looking for a feline pet, check out the shelter.
All right, any other announcements? All right, thank you all very much. We're adjourned.